Hey everybody, Jeff Flesh here to talk to you about an article I did a couple of weeks ago on going from concept to execution. And basically, the article is about developing growth opportunities at work. And so, how can you do that? So, I talk about a 5 step process that I'm just going to walk you through here because, again, like I've spoken about and talked about in articles, we all learn differently. And this is another way to engage with you, as I've said it in previous videos. So, let's take a look at it. So, the first one is that steep learning curve, right? And so to develop something at work that is continual and ongoing, we must understand that there will be a steep learning curve for some people. Now, everybody learns differently and everybody's on a spectrum of where they're at developmentally, but these, I think, hold true. These steps hold true for anybody. So on that steep learning curve, before you get into that, you need to do a few things. So you need to define the need. So what's really needed? And sometimes it may be a need that is different for each person. And then you may have a team need, right? So you need to understand, what is your outcome of interest? What's the goal? What's the need? That's first. Next, create a training plan. So whether it's with a trainer that's inside your own, inside your own organization or business or outside, it doesn't matter. But you need to create a training plan that will point you to that goal or that outcome. Okay, that's the second thing. Implement. So then get into the implementation of it. Just go for it. Start doing it. Don't worry about the result of what's going to happen with it. Oftentimes we get confused or worried about what result we're going to get back from it. Just get into it and start doing it. Development is that important for our teams and ourselves that we just need to move it forward. Fourth, evaluate. And so that is the next step. You need to see how it's going and monitor that progress because you may need to shift things as you go. So that's the next one, evaluate. So have some kind of evaluation plan. Build that in with your trainer. What are you going to do and how are you going to assess it? All right? That's the last one in learn. Adjustment. So there's always an adjustment period after people go through a big learning process. And so the ones in here that I think are the most important inside of adjustment are to create post-training systems. And you can build that in with your trainer, but it basically is to ensure that you have traction on the concepts that you learned in training, because without them actually being systematic, and that is just meaning that they live inside of each person's workflow every day, there will be no traction. Let me say it again. If they do not live inside of people's workflow and you do not have the opportunity to coach to them every day, you will not have traction on those concepts. They will fall away. And it's not intentional that they'll fall away. They just will. Because we're all super busy and slammed with a million other things. And I've talked about that in other videos. So just know, you have to have a system to coach to those concepts so to move them forward. The second thing there is to continue to follow up. That should be part of any kind of post-training formalization or training plan, is that you're continuing to follow up. You coach to them, they know their action, you follow up. How's that going? Oh, we're off track a little bit? Well, why is that? What's happening there? How can I assist? Just like that. The next one is consistency. Consistency is really important on teams. You need to be consistent in your delivery of the message, and you need to be consistent in the expectation that the actions are going to take place to move those concepts, those training concepts forward, and then continue to follow up, And then monitor progress, and I talked about that a little bit already. You're going to have folks that get into traction really quickly. Boom, they start moving stuff forward, and others that take a little bit more time. So find out why that is and help move them along a little bit, okay? All right, that's the last one in that area. The next is integration. And so the other part about learning is that people need to be able to see their work inside of how they learn. And so here I talk about several different ways that you can approach people inside of their context that they've created in their work environment that you now are interacting with them in, that they can see their work in how they like to learn. So whiteboards is how I like to learn. And so when people work with me, boom, they put it on a whiteboard. Oh, helpful, because then I can see it and it's like, oh, I get that. Okay, let's move it forward. Some people don't like that. So you have to find out for your staff how they learn best, and then approach them with that knowledge and those concepts just like that, and then get that drumbeat going that we just talked about a minute ago. Post-its, another way. People kind of laugh about that, and they say that I must own stock in 3M because of my post-it fascination or obsession, some may call it. But the fact of the matter is it works. So whatever works for you, and I've talked about this in other blogs, whatever works for you, that's what works. And when it doesn't work anymore, don't do that and do something different. Post-its are a way some people like to organize themselves. And if they can put their new concepts in ways they are already familiar with, more traction. Calendars. Calendars are a necessity today for anybody working in business or organizations. You have to have things on a calendar. So often times I invite folks to put those concepts, like the next action from a training concept, put it in your calendar. So I'll ask the question, how are you going to move that forward next week? And at this point in the staff's development, oftentimes I get back, I'm going to calendar that in on Thursday at 9 o'clock for an hour, and then next Thursday at this, like that. And that I know then, boom, traction is occurring, and I can ask the question, well, how did that go at 9 o'clock last week when you moved that concept forward? Just like that. The next is a project management system. So it wasn't until about year 2 of this team's development that we started to use a project management system. And I will say that whereas I have issues with the current software program we use, it has been instrumental in moving this team forward. Because again, we have so many things we're inundated with every day. When you start moving new concepts and ideas forward, you need a way to organize it and have everybody in the same conversation post-training also. So there's individual conversation, and then there's also team conversation. And a project management system can let you see all of that and move that work forward. Reflection. So oftentimes after training, you're going to have reflection. Well, and I actually say to teams, that's a necessity. And when you have reflection, you need to, well, if you don't have it today, please, if nothing else you do here, create reflection time for yourself as a leader. Please do that. You need time to process everything that's happened. Sit with it. And then think about it. Because inside of reflection, and that's why this goes up a little bit more here, you may find that there's other things that are needed post-training. So, look at that. We missed that concept. Oh, we need to add that in. Make time for reflection. Coach the team on reflection. So ask them to build it into their day. We are automated a lot of times, reactive. Stimulus, response. Stimulus, response. We need to open and create the space for pause. Stimulus, pause, reflect, action. Okay? Create reflection time after meetings. This has been tremendous for our team. Ensuring that we have a conversation, we know our next actions, but we sit with it. Okay? Sometimes we got to move it right away, but most times sit. What else comes from that conversation? And then we may shift those actions for the next week. Okay? Last, formalize. Basically coach them on it continuously. You have to build a rigorous way you formalize these things so those concepts will continue to move forward, and the actions that go out from those concepts, and then traction will come. Practice daily. Coach, practice. Coach, practice. Every day. Yourself first. Practice them, do them. Coach to them, they do them. Boom, traction. Systematize and document. It doesn't matter how you do that. We use project management, we use Google Documents, we use calendars, all kinds of things, whiteboards. Doesn't matter, but put it in a process. Systematize it, process orient it, then it becomes formalized and known to the team, this is what we're doing. And all of it is to say you're building healthy habits. And it's inside of that traction will occur for your team. All right. This has been a longer video than normal. I'm Jeff Flesh. I appreciated my time with you today. You can reach me at fleshj@lynnbenton.edu. Send me a note anytime. This again was from concept to execution, and moving ourselves from theory and concepts about things into execution and action, which will lead to traction. All right, everybody, have a great day. Stay healthy and well. Bye now.